Britain won't undercut its EU rivals post-Brexit to access markets. That's the promise made by the UK's Brexit minister. David Davis has dismissed fears Britain will cut regulation to attract business despite past threats. Instead, in a speech to business leaders in Austria, he proposed a system of mutual recognition.
They fear that Brexit could lead to an Anglo-Saxon race to the bottom, with Britain plunged into a Mad Max-style world borrowed from dystopian fiction. These fears about a race to the bottom are based on nothing. Not our history, not our intentions, not our national interest.
Davis's address was meant to reassure business leaders over the UK's Brexit plans. But the Twitter sphere has taken up the Mad Max theme. Among the most popular are the original Planet of the Apes, Groundhog Day and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Thousands more have reacted with their own vision of what film best represents Britain post-Brexit.
Denmark's royals have held a private service at the Christiansborg Palace Chapel in Copenhagen for the late Prince Henrik. Controversially, he died not wanting to be buried in the tomb prepared for him and his wife Queen Margrethe in Roskilde Cathedral. He'd said that the Queen had never acknowledged him as her equal. Thousands of Danes had gathered outside the chapel. I think I'll best remember him for his good mood that he always showed. It gave the royal family a smile. To me as an immigrant, it meant a lot that although he was not born in Denmark, he became a member of the royal court and our royal family. That means a lot to me. At first, the palace said the prince had dementia, but they then agreed to follow his wishes and not be buried in the tomb meant for the Queen. His ashes will now be scattered in Danish waters and buried in the garden of Fredensborg Castle.
US President Donald Trump has signed an order to outlaw bump stock devices for guns. It's his first step during his administration towards tightening firearms regulations. He's also said he may consider other restrictions after last week's school shooting in Florida. The device enables a rifle to shoot hundreds of rounds a minute, turning a legal semi-automatic rifle into a machine gun. They can be bought without the need for a criminal background check. It puts Trump at odds with the powerful National Rifle Association that has previously opposed efforts to ban them. The move would bypass Congress, where legislation to ban bump stocks has failed since an October massacre in Las Vegas. The device then was used by a shooter who killed 58 people at an outdoor country music festival. Britain's Queen Elizabeth added a royal touch to London Fashion Week on Tuesday by making a surprise appearance in the front row at a fashion catwalk. Wearing a duck-egg blue dress and jacket, the 91-year-old monarch sat next to Anna Wintour, editor-in-chief of American Vogue. They watched the show of designer Richard Quinn, who the Queen later awarded the inaugural Queen Elizabeth II Award for British Design. The award has been initiated in recognition of the role the fashion industry plays in society and diplomacy. It was the first time the Queen has ever attended London Fashion Week. On Monday, fashion designers and models had been invited to a reception at Buckingham Palace.
Here in Białystok, one of Europe's largest primeval forests, it's claimed too many trees are being cut down. An advisor says Poland's decision to increase wood harvesting has broken EU law. The European Court of Justice told Warsaw last year it would be fined €100,000 per day if they did not stop large-scale logging. The Polish government has previously said cutting down trees is necessary to make paths safer for hikers and protect trees from bark beetles. But in some parts of Białystok forest, EU logging quotas to 2021 have already been reached. Poland's environment minister says the country will comply with the final ruling of the EU's top court, which will be made in the coming months.
Syrian pro-government forces have entered the northwestern city of Afrin, despite shelling by Turkish troops trying to keep them out. The new arrivals have come to help local Kurdish fighters fend off an offensive by Turkey. Kurdish leaders say they had to turn to President Assad and his allies as no foreign powers would help them against advancing Turkish forces. We came to the city of Afrin to support our brothers here, and now we're standing in the heart of Afrin, as you see, says the commander of the pro-government Syrian forces. We're in the heart of Afrin with huge numbers, and we'll stay here until we kick out the Ottoman Turk occupiers. This despite the uneasy relationship between Damascus and the YPG Kurdish militia. Kurds seek autonomy in regions they hold, while Assad wants to control all of Syria. For Turkey's president, the priority remains driving back the YPG, which Ankara sees as a threat along its border, with links to the Kurdish insurgency at home. Recep Tayyip Erdogan says the convoy of Syrian forces are terrorists.
Students who survived last week's school shooting have travelled to meet Florida lawmakers to urge them to prevent another massacre. 3 buses carried 100 students who, in the aftermath of the attack which killed 17 people, want to revive the gun control movement. The youth-led protests erupted within hours of the shooting.
We knew that they weren't going to hear us if we just stayed in Parkland, Florida. We have to go to them and we have to, show them how loud our voices can get, because if we don't, then how are they ever going to listen to us?
President Trump has moved to ban a device which turns a rifle into a machine gun as pressure grows for more gun controls.
We're going to continue to do that. See, unfortunately, when horrific tragedies like this happen, everybody wants a quick and a simple answer, but there isn't one. There's not a quick and there's not a simple answer, but we want to make sure that we're addressing the problem, and we want to make sure that we're meeting and talking with as many people that not only are affected, but that play a role in this process as possible. That's why he's sitting down with the parents, the teachers, the students.
The White House has invited community members and victims from Parkland, Florida, as well as victims from the Columbine and Sandy Hook shootings to a listening session. The session is expected to focus on a wide range of issues following one of the deadliest school shootings in US history. A lawyer has become the 19th person to be charged as part of the US investigation into possible collusion between Donald Trump's election campaign team and Russia. Attorney Alex van der Zoan, the son-in-law of one of Russia's richest men, has pleaded guilty to lying to investigators. The case involves work that van der Zoan performed in 2012 about Ukraine for 2 former Trump campaign aides. The charges make no mention of the campaign or the 2016 election, but experts say they show the extent of the probe being conducted by Special Counsel Robert Mueller. Last year, US intelligence agencies found that Russia had meddled in the 2016 election. Both President Vladimir Putin and President Trump have denied the accusations, with President Trump calling the probe a witch hunt.
Televidente, permitinos com espaço comercial. No momento conosco back, é deporte, com o colega Carl Reuter.